Welcome to Better Returns, where you will learn how to escape the volatility of the stock market by passively investing in real estate like a pro. 90% of millionaires earned and maintained their wealth by investing in real estate. We will share real-life examples from savvy investors so you can do the same. This show is for educational purposes only and should not be considered legal, tax, or investment advice. He's the only member of his immediate family that does not have any tattoos. Your host and my dad, Matt Hansen.
Welcome to Better Returns, and I've got one of my close personal friends here, Julianne Peterson. She's the senior director at Old Capital, which is a real estate lending broker company. She's also known as the First Lady of Lending. She has 30 years of real estate transactional experience. She knows how to place debt, invest passively, and syndicates as a general partner, and also raises capital for commercial multifamily apartment properties. She specializes in helping new investors understand the debt requirements and connects them with sponsors who take them to close. She's also the host of the wildly successful weekly Zoom at 8 EST platform, which brings industry professionals to help educate new investors. And I strongly recommend you tune into that. So, Julie, thanks for joining the show. What we're going to do today is kind of walk through what is the key role of the lending broker in buying large apartment complexes, because our listeners typically are new passive investors. So they'll never have to work directly with you, but you're so important that they know who you are and what your role is. So if we buy a $10 million apartment, 70% or 60% of those funds are going to come from somebody like you. So it's important that they understand the role of a lending broker. So tell us a little bit about Old Capital and kind of what you do, and then we're going to walk through kind of a case study.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Matt, for having me on. I'm excited to be here. I love what I do. As Matt had mentioned, I am a broker. So in essence, I have a book of different bankers, lenders, whether it be bridge lenders. Basically, if you think about a bridge, we're bridging from one side of an asset to the other side. So from an unstabilized asset to a stabilized asset. So something that is not in good shape to good shape. We've got that kind of lending. We can do government-backed lending products. We can do bank products, and then we've got some other products in there. But I can go nationwide, and we can find the right debt product for what kind of business plan the general partnerships are looking to do. So Old Capital, we've been in business for 37 years. We close about 6,500 loans. That is typically in syndication. So when people put their money together in a group, 6,500 of those need, well, there's more than that get done on a yearly basis, but we put debt on 6,500 of those loans a year, and then take them to close. And it's about $1.2 billion in loans that we close every year. So it's quite a bit that we do. And we're not just a commodity broker. That's what some people think when they come from single family. You know, you dial for dollars. Ooh, this guy is a 1/4%. Oh, this guy's an 1/8%. Oh, this is a 16. That's not what it is in multifamily. It really is a relationship business that we're in as brokers. Again, Matt, you had said we are your biggest partner in this deal. We're bringing the largest amount of capital to it. So you want to have a relationship where you know, like, and trust not only the people that you're bringing in as partners, as limited partners, but also a lender. So it's really important that we have a good relationship and that we know, how to get the deals done. And that's really the specialty that Old Capital provides. But we also have great relationships with real estate brokers. So the general partners are all out searching for properties, and as a limited partner, you don't really know, you don't really see the behind the scenes, what's going on. And so it's really helpful to understand that brokers, we see, it's kind of like we're traffic controllers. We see what's going on. We see all the general partners. We see all the banks. And we talk to so many different brokers. These are real estate agents, if you will. and they have transactions. So we can say, oh, Mr. GP, I have a deal here. And that's the relationship that's so, so important. So it's not just a commodity, hey, I can get you the best pricing. It's also, I've got a good deal as well. So it's all encompassing. And that's what makes us pretty special here at Old Capital.
And people will wonder, like, again, residential versus commercial, and commercial is totally different. It's like we're doing a $40 million deal in Florida right now. And yes, our general partners, we could go out directly to these lenders. Now you have access to, I think, thousands of lenders.
Yes.
We could go out to the top 10 or 15 of those and get quotes. The problem is, and I hear this with people that don't use a lending broker like you, is that they go off and do that, and then the lender will change the terms and conditions at the very last minute on them. Well, you know what? They'll do it to me because I'm an individual, or a group of general partners, because I do maybe 1 or 2 deals a year with them, if that.
That's right.
But with Julie and Old Capital, they're not going to mess with you. They don't. It's like, okay, we really value their relationship. That's why it's worth it for us to hire someone like yourself, a hired gun, if you will, to go out and find the best terms and conditions. And most importantly, you get the deal closed for us. Because if I do it directly myself, and I've got friends that have done this, they went directly to the lenders, and the lenders, no offense, jerk them around a little bit nearly at the end quite often. And then you're just forced to go along with what they said because you can't lose the deal and all your earnest money in it. So that's the value that I feel like, okay, people say, well, I don't want to pay the extra commission for the lending broker, but better pay that than lose the deal and maybe hundreds or millions of dollars in down payment.
Yeah, and in some cases, an agency debt, you're going to pay 1%, and that takes care of my fees as well. So whether you hire me or you go direct, it's the same price. So that really, that's a non-issue.
Yes.
But here's the thing, you don't go to get your face or your heart fixed, right? You don't go to the cheapest plastic surgeon. You don't go to the cheapest heart guy or cancer specialist, right? You go who has a track record. You have a fiduciary responsibility to those investors to get the very best loan, right? But you also don't want the possibility of losing their money or your own money where the lender cannot deliver for you. So that is one of the biggest mission statements of Old Capitals. We do not want anyone to lose money. And when you go and do this on your own, you're putting your money and your investors at risk. So that's why it's real important to invest with, a good relationship that you have with the broker. So very, very good point, Matt. I appreciate you bringing that up.
So let's do a little case study. So I'm looking for deals in Dallas-Fort Worth area right now. So I find a deal I really like. I've underwritten, which is just a fancy word for do the economic analysis. So the numbers look pretty good. I think this is something I want to pursue. So in the first thing I do, I talk to my property manager, might find out, does he give it a thumbs up or thumbs down? Does he like the area? Because they've got to manage it. And if they said yes, my next call is always to somebody like Julie to say, okay, so let's walk through that, Julie. Here's the stats. Here's what I'm going to pay. Here's all my underwriting. I give you all this information. What's the next step? What happens then before I even make an offer?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would also advise you that you're going to be looking at your taxes and insurance, especially in Florida and Texas, because they have been extremely impacted. So before you end up putting in a letter of intent, which we call an LOI, you want to bring it to a lender like ourselves, a broker, and we can look at it from a high level and say, okay, what are you trying to accomplish here? Well, I want to be in this 3 to 5 years, or I want to be in this long term. My investors, and this is what's so important as a general partner, is to survey the investors. Because maybe you have some investors that are like, oh, I only want to go in this for 3 to 5 years. Or you've got investors that are going, no, I want long term. I don't want to be changing. I don't want to have to find new investors or new investments. So you want to make sure that we're marrying up the debt to the business plan. So that conversation is had up front. So we're going to find, okay, this property, I want to find out, is it stabilized? And from a lender's perspective, a stabilization is at 90% occupied. Well, this particular property that our buyers are looking at is below 90%. So they're going to need a particular type of loan. So I'll say, okay, this is the type of loan you need. We're going to, I'm going to probably going to roll in some of their renovation budget. And we're going to know that, hey, we can get you this at interest only terms so that you can do this renovation. You're going to be in it for a short term, and then you're going to be out in 3 to 5 years. So that is what, we're going to kind of give you an understanding of, okay, what is the debt? What is your business plan? How do you marry those? And then you can go back to the drawing board and figure out, okay, does this make sense? Now, does it make sense from a product perspective? Do I want interest only? Because interest only, you've got all of these rents coming in and you're only putting out a little bit of mortgage. It is an amazing way to run a property, but you have to be very skilled. And as a lender, we're going to look at the general partnership to say, who has experience in this? Who has done this before? Do all of the general partners live in Hawaii and they are looking at buying in Texas? Because at the end of the day, you're responsible for this asset. Yes, you're hiring a property manager, but the lenders want to make sure that we've got eyes on that property. You've got an asset manager that lives in Hawaii. He's not going to be there day to day. So we're going to be visiting with the general partnership to make sure that we understand exactly who the players are, what their experience is. And, we want to know that the general partners have money in the deal. A lot of people say, I can use other people's money. From a lender standpoint, we want to know that they have boots on the ground, meaning they are in the area where that asset is, but they also have skin in the game. So if you're investing passively, one of the questions you want to be asking is, how much, Mr. General Partner, are you putting into this deal? And I know, Matt, you are a big advocate for that you want to be putting your own money into these deals. That is communicating to the general, from the general partnership to the limited partners, that we believe in this deal, right? So as a banker, we are communicating that to the brokers are communicating that to the lenders that, hey, we've got general partners who are putting 10% of their own money in. We're going to be bringing in limited partners who are going to be bringing in, let's say, 15 to 30%, total of 30% down payment, total down payment for this asset. Okay. So those are kind of some of the conversations that we're having, some of the products that we're going to be looking at, thinking about. What is the business plan? What is the time frame? Because some of these lenders that we're working with, they need to be in and out in 30 days. So if we have a general partnership that doesn't have, their investors cannot deploy their capital quickly, that's not a good product. So again, that's the conversation. Can we work fast? I'm working on a deal right now. We want to have the lowest, fastest product, but they can't get their investors there quick enough. So these are the conversations we're having.
Wow, this is great stuff. So listener, this is the reason why you use a lending broker. So if you're investing with somebody that's off doing it themselves, as Julie mentioned, not only does she vet the deal itself and finds the right product for that specific property in your business plan, but she actually vets the general partners that you're investing with. She makes sure they have a track record. They have boots on the ground, somebody local that's going to keep an eye on that property to make sure things don't go sideways. I mean, that's the beauty of the lending broker role, is like you're actually protecting the investors. And that's why it's so important that you're on the show to demonstrate that you want to make sure that you're investing with somebody that is using a broker that's going to really protect your interest, because that's going to go on. I mean, that's the biggest expense. The lender brings in the 60 to 70% of the loan amount. So that's wonderful. Great advice there. Okay. So
one other point on that. And if your general partner is going direct, or even, working with a broker that doesn't have a good relationships, let's say,
Right.
as Old Capital has, they may be trying to buy the deal. Oh, I can get it for, 0.5% lower.
Mm.
Here's the concern that happens on the deal. The general partner might be saying, yeah, I'm going with Steve over here. The problem with going with Steve, and a lot of times we're all going to the same bank. We're all going to the same parent. See, you go to Fannie and Freddie. I'm sure you've heard about Fannie and Freddie, especially when you are buying a house. A lot of Fannie loans are bought on single family. It's like going to the Wizard of Oz. It's the dad. You go to the dad, the Wizard of Oz. And you've got all of these banks saying, oh, I'm going to Fannie. I'm going to Fannie. Well, if you're going to the same parent, the parent is telling you, that's how much you're going to pay. That's how much we're going to charge you. Well, you got Steve over here saying, oh, no, I can get it for 50 bips lower. And then you go through this process, and about 5 days before close, Steve says, by the way, I can't get it for you. I actually you have to bring in some more money. Now, Mr. Limited Partner, you were told that, you give 100,000 and you're going to buy one share. Well, now we're actually going to be diluting your shares. So it's not actually worth one, it's actually worth 0.88 because we have to bring in more capital because that lending broker or bank sold the deal incorrectly. So that's another thing you need to be aware of. Make sure, again, this is a relationship business. The people that you're investing with, you want to make sure they have a track record. And the track record is, how long have they been doing this? How many transactions have they been doing it? Have they worked with this bank before? Okay, these are all really good questions. And have they worked with this broker before? Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure your capital is, it's secure, right?
Mhm.
And it's what it was. It is, there's always a little bit of, at the end of the day, maybe we need a little bit more, pricing went up, whatever it
Right.
is. There is a little bit of adjustments. It's not this, but you just want to make sure you want to mitigate any of those concerns up front that are within your control.
Perfect. That's a great example. That, some of those shadier lending brokers out there will say anything to get the deal, and then they retrade, as we say, at the very last minute. So that's what was happening, because I've heard of that and I didn't realize, oh, they probably never had it that great rate. So I've heard of people having this happen to them. It's
Mm-hmm.
because they're all going to Fannie, and Fannie is only going to give one quote, regardless of who you are.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point.
Yeah.
See, I learned something today. Okay, so you gave me the thumbs up. Julie said, yep, we can give you a loan on this. Here's the terms and conditions. It looks favorable. I plug those into my underwriting to say, are the returns acceptable still now for my investors? So now I'm going to go ahead and put in my letter of intent, my offer, and it goes through a whole process and it gets accepted. So now, great, I got this deal. We call it under contract. Now the clock starts ticking. Usually I have 45, 60, maybe up to 90 days to close. It depends on the seller and what's going on and all the additional inspections that are required. So I've got it under contract. What's my next step with you, Julie? What do you need from us at this point?
Yeah,
What's going
sure.
to happen next?
So we're going to need to have all the personal financial statements from all of the general partners, right? We're going to want to understand who's bringing the capital, who has the experience, the net worth of the group, the liquidity, how much money is going to be left over on the sides. Because if something were to happen, we want to make sure there's money, or who has it in case we need to get to it. Okay. The experience, who has the 2 years of experience, who can we go to, who has that. So in the meantime, we're underwriting it. The bank is going to be underwriting it, asking questions. We've got an appraiser that's coming in. It takes usually about 3 weeks for the appraiser to do all of his numbers and making sure that they're validating all of the rents and what the comps are. And they come back and do their numbers with the banks, and with, they're just going back and forth. They'll come back to me, and to our client and say, okay, here's where we think maybe there might be some overages, maybe there's some maybe we think payroll, it should be a little higher. Maybe we think that you really need to be paying these people a little bit more. So we'll do some adjustments, right? And that process, again, takes about 3 to 4 weeks to kind of figure it all out. So we're at day 30, 45, something like that. And in the background, we're looking to make sure that we're asking for another updated financial, because every 30 days, we've got new financials. Now, the proceeds that we have told you when you signed an application with us, it's saying, hey, listen, I'm going to give you on a $10 million deal, let's say at 75%, I'm going to give you $7.5 million. That is based on the financials that you presented. Well, now we're 30 days down the road. And if you're looking at agency lending, which isn't, your Fannie or Freddie, they're going to base it on what has happened in the past. So that seller, you want to say, Mr. Seller, keep your foot on the gas. Mm-hmm. Some of these sellers want to take their foot off the gas. And what happens? That means that they're producing less income. They're still having all of the expenses, but their income is reduced. So what happens? The proceeds. I can no longer, let's say, give you 75% that I told you, but we've taken in less income. So therefore the proceeds go down. So we're always encouraging the buyers to keep those conversations and keep us updated. Hey, are we seeing any change in the income? Have we seen any change in the economic vacancy? Are people living there, but they're not paying? Okay, it's one thing that people are living there. Thank you. I love that you're living here, but you're not paying. Fannie and Freddie don't like that. They want you to be paying, or they want you to be, you're telling us that you're collecting all of this money. And when the seller says, I've sold this, you have to keep getting that money. Okay. So this process takes 45 to 60 days, about 5 days before close. We've gotten, continually, we're going to be asking the general partners, we're going to pull their credit. Hey, maybe what happened over here? What happened over here? Writing over a little letter that says, oh, this is what happened to me. We're going to make sure that their credit is good, their experience is validated. And then, like I say, about 5 days before, Fannie will provide a commitment letter that says, okay, this is what we're going to commit to you. Financials came back fine. Here's your $7.5 million loan. Here's the rate. It fluctuated while over the last 60 days, potentially. Here's your rate today. You sign it, you lock it. We close, 3 to 5 days later. Excellent. And that's the process.
It's not simple because we're in constant contact with a lending broker through this whole, after the offer is accepted before it closes. It's not just, there's one thing, as you said, as Julie indicated, we're constantly going back and forth. Yeah. Is anything changed with the property? And like you said, taxes are huge. Insurance is huge. You factor that into the debt coverage ratio, which is, that's more detail, but we need to make sure it's going to be profitable. And it's, as a general partner, it's my responsibility to get that information to Julie so she can see how profitable, because unlike residential property, which is based on the comps around you, a commercial property is based on its net operating income. So it's called forced appreciation. If you run that better and you increase the value of it, the returns or the profitability, you increase the value of the property. And that's what Julie's looking at constantly. And that's why they're looking at the last 30 days. If something took a nosedive and all of a sudden, hold it, you guys, your occupancy is went down dramatically because something happened, that's going to impact the loan proceeds. So it's very important. So that leads to the fact is that when you're working with a seller, have a great relationship with them. Make sure they know, like, and trust you, because if they could really hurt you if they don't keep the foot on the gas, as Julie said, because it's going to impact your ability to close the deal. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Okay, so I'm at the closing table. we just start writing checks and send them all off. You guys let us know a few days in advance, right? And then
Yes.
how does it actually close? And what do we do right after we close? Is there anything else we have to do with the lender after that?
Well, typically, so when that commitment letter comes in, so we're going to back up a little bit, about
Okay.
like 5 days before, we ask for about a 2%, if it's a larger loan, about 2% commitment fee,
Right.
which locks the loan. That's going to go towards your settlement statement.
Got it.
If you were to back out, you would lose that 2%, just so you know. And by the way, the general partner has put up a bunch of money to secure this deal. They have put their blood, sweat, and tears, by the way, up front. They have spent time to find the property. They've put money into the relationship with the broker, potentially with the seller. They've spent time underwriting it, finding the relationships to put the deal, the team together, right? They put money down. It's called earnest money deposit. They put that money down themselves. Okay. That is risky, very risky. So they have to be paid for that. And from a lender standpoint, we don't say, hey, you don't get paid for that. But it's really important that as a limited partner, you understand what the risk that the general partners are putting into this. Here's another situation where the lender is saying, hey, we're committing, and you are committing to putting this together. We're asking for another 2%. You've already put earnest money down. You may have extended the contract for another 50 to 100,000. And now we're asking for 2%. That's your hard-earned money. Now, if you walk away in the next 5 days, something happens, whether the interest rates, well, if you've locked in, then you're locked in. But let's say the interest rates took a huge dive and you're way up here and they're down here. That could significantly impact your returns. Okay. We haven't seen that, but we have seen recently where the rates have dropped 20%. That could significantly impact it. Is it worth losing, 2%? Maybe. So we're gonna ask for that money, 5 days. Again, we're asking for updated financials. You're going to get with your escrow. The general partners are going to get with the escrow officers and the title company. We're putting all of those finishing touches on it. Typically, title is something that is purchased by the seller, right? But these are negotiable things. Okay, so you get a statement that says you owe, these are your sides of the business. These are my sides. We're going to have all of the leases turned over to the new owners. So there's signatures there on the lending side. Okay. So everything is signed at escrow. We wire in those funds. That typically takes 24 hours. You send that over, it gets recorded. Okay. And there's certain timings that recordings have to be done, certain timing that the wiring needs to come in. And that's why we give it, 3 to 5 days. After closing, typically you'll get the final settlement statement. There's usually that you've overpaid. We'd best if you overpay a little bit, right? And so you'll get refunded that money that you've overpaid. And from there, it's takeover day. Your property manager will then start to get involved in doing his takeover, taking the property over, commenting with all of the residents that they're now in charge, and so forth. From a lender standpoint, we would get paid from a broker standpoint, we get paid at closing. The lender gets paid at their closing, and so forth. All of the rest is all paid out. All of their invoices are paid all at the same time. And all thank yous go out after that. And it's as smooth as possible. Hopefully the whole team works congruently and has the main point is that we want this to be done on time and all efforts are put in. I mean, great teams are formed and get done really efficiently.
Yeah, it's so crucial that you're well organized. Your general partner has got their act together. So after it closes and we all celebrate, Is there anything that the lender is going to be asking of the general partners going forward?
Yes. So typically we're going to be looking for quarterly, maybe every 6 months, and maybe even yearly. It depends on the type of loan and the kind of the bank. Banks they potentially could be looking for quarterly reports. Your T12, if it's a bridge loan, they're going to want to look at and they're going to need to sign off and approve some of the renovations that you
Good
put
point.
in and done. So you'll have an inspector come in, they'll sign off, you'll send over your invoices, they'll send over the payment of those, and then the money is then put on your account. You start making payments on that account. So there's a lot of making sure that the lenders see how the property is being managed. Okay. And depending on that type of lender, they're going to be looking at where's the debt service. The debt service means how is the mortgage being covered? Typically, and we don't need to go into too much depth of this, but a mortgage needs to be covered at least 25% more, 20 to 25% more than what the payment is. Now, depending on the area, that could go up to as high as 55% higher than the mortgage. So they're going to look at that. How is this operator managing this property? Not only the property manager, but the principals. How are they managing this property? And if there is any issues, they're going to sit down with you. They're going to have a conversation. They're going to figure out, how do we rectify this?
Right. And so that's a great example of how the lender is protecting the investor to the limited partner, because it's just, we don't give the money at the end of close. We keep tabs on it. They keep tabs on us to make sure that we're performing well and keeping track, that because they want to get paid back as the biggest investor.
Yeah. And
wow.
the thing to keep in mind here is that we're a bank. We don't necessarily care about paying out to the investors.
Right.
All we really care about is that we get paid. We don't want to take back that property. Some investors, general partners, don't want to share their workbook or their modeling, their tool, their
underwriting,
analyzing, their underwriting, because they're afraid that we're going to look at how we're paying how they're paying the investors. We don't care.
Right.
All we care about is that we're going to get paid. And that's how we stress test it. We want to make sure that what you're saying on your pro formas, and pro formas are how you're going to manage this from year 1 to 5, whatever, do we accept that? And if we accept it, then we're going to take the deal. We're going to provide the debt for that.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you for the crash course on broker lenders, all the things that go on. As a passive investor, you just need to be aware of this, because this is all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. So thanks for that, Julie. Now, next, I'm going to have the rapid fire 5. These are some fun questions to ask to learn a little bit more about you, Julie.
Yeah.
So the first one, first thing that comes to your mind? Well, this one is, what was your nickname as a child? What nickname did they give you?
Well, my name is Peebs. I was called Peebs, P-E-E-B-S. My last name is Peebles. My maiden name was Peebles. So Peebs was my
interesting.
Peebs, yeah.
Okay, are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning. You won't find me up past about 10 p.m. So yeah, I'm a morning person.
Are you a cat or dog person?
A dog, thank you. Yes.
Dog all the way.
Dogs. Yeah.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would that be?
Michigan. No, just kidding.
You're funny.
No, I think New Zealand. I've never been there, but I've heard great things, and it's on our bucket list. So I think New Zealand.
That's on ours as well too. We really want to go there someday.
Okay. Yeah.
So it may have to be a joint vacation.
I'll meet you there. Yeah.
Okay. The show is called Better Returns. What is the one piece of advice you give to investors to help them get better returns? The one golden nugget, Julie, that you'd like to share with them?
I listen. The only way that you're going to understand how to get returns, whether they're better or worse, is to educate yourself. So I always say two things: educate yourself, figure out how this whole multifamily investment arena is done, figure it out, invest in yourself, and invest in a deal as a limited partner. Figure that out. Find out how somebody is communicating with you. Do you like that? Do you feel that you're given the information freely? If not, find another one. It is really important that you start there for better
That is
returns.
key. That is key.
Mhm.
Transparency. Perfect.
Yeah.
And finally, can people get a hold of you? And then we want to talk a little bit about the Zoom at 8. So how can somebody join the Zoom at 8, which I've joined, and occasionally I join, I have usually conflicts, but when I do, after that, I usually get 1 to 3 calls, people set up that want to talk to me. So you're a great connector from that perspective. So tell us how they can get a hold of you through that.
Yeah, well, so Zoom at 8 is a place where you can network and learn from professionals in this industry. So it's every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. So you can find the advertisement on Zoom. You can look at Zoom at 8 p.m. Eastern, EST. So just go into the search bar, Zoom at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm on all social media outlets. So Julie Ann Peterson, you can find that on LinkedIn. Let's see, Instagram, Julianne Peterson, Old Capital, and then on Facebook. So I'm on all of those. Feel free to reach out, message me, connect with me. That is what's most important. And if I can help you, whether you're passive or you decide, hey, I just have some questions on lending, I'm happy to help. That's what I do.
Thank you so much. And she's a wealth of knowledge. She's a wonderful resource. Well, thanks so much, Julie. And I'm going to have Julie on again later in the year or next year to talk about passive investing, because she does a lot of passive investing. She's a general partner, so she's a wealth of knowledge on that too. But I really wanted to focus on bringing value to the listener of what goes on behind the scenes in this lending to buy these $40 million apartment complexes. And you hit the nail on the head, Julie. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap. Thank you for listening to Better Returns, Invest Like a Pro, brought to you by Hanson Holdings. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star review because it helps others discover this valuable content. If you'd like to earn truly hands-off passive income, go to hansonholdings.com. We help you invest in large apartment complexes to grow your family's wealth. See you next week with another awesome episode. Have a great day.